We opened up in the city of Pei several years ago with the. Just a second, I realized I had my Twitch volume on full volume so I could hear myself talking. um, Pei is on the opposite side of the country from Charus, and it is the embassy of the Kingdom of Montaigne. So every foreign dignitary doesn't come to Charus, they come to Pei, and they need an express invitation to Charus itself, which has lent even further sort of social weight to the actual court of Charus. Um, and it's positioned Montaigne in its own affairs as like the center of the world. Like because of its wealth, because of its military power at the moment, every other nation is coming knocking and they have to like get an invite to get in. And so uh they have to do politics um dirty and also above the table to just be at the emperor's court and converse with him potentially. You still have to work through a network of contacts to get like the emperor's ear directly. Um, and Gerard is at this time he's his family is gentrified, but like there's still the possibility that like the emperor might grant new land to them. Gerard himself hasn't served, but I imagine his father did in like the action in Castile. And uh there's the possibility of like a posthumous grant of like some small amount of land so that Gerard can still remain nobility himself. Does that make sense? So he hasn't yet been like written off by other noble families as a potential marriage prospect, but everybody knows that they're in trouble. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Um, and well, there had at one time been a number of different possible uh, arrangements. The only one that has really persisted is Charlotte Size to Size, and um, she is not happy about being in pay. Gerard has he's worked over the past few weeks to kind of get it out of her as to like why she's not happy about it. And it's because she feels as though her place is in Charus. Pei is a secondary court. It's a less prestigious court. Um, and she is she's done her best to not name it directly, but Gerard knows very much that she feels that she has a rival that has gone to the Shrews Court in her place, and that rivalry is uh, unfair. Does that make sense? That she feels as though she is the better candidate, the better choice. She doesn't she's appropriately modest enough to not outright say she thinks she's prettier, you know what I'm saying? But she does have the Porte bloodline that is one of the primary things for matchmaking. Does that make sense? Like, Gerard himself struggles with having never shown any sign of Porte. So the Seiss du Seiss family, while it is a new family, the fact that they're willing to potentially marry a Porte having daughter, and also be responsible financially for Gerard is like it's a complicated situation, and it's one where both sides are they're giving something up. Does that make sense? And also bringing something to the table. Um, there is something called the curse of the Seiss du Seiss, which is that none of the Seiss du Seiss men have proven to have any talent at things military or dueling. Like the reason that there aren't a lot of adult Seiss du Seiss is that almost all of them have died in duels or on a military venture of some kind. Those who've remained in like scholarly positions and stuff like that have been just fine. Those that are like using their sorcery for the court are just fine. But it is part of the sort of now um, matriarchy of the Seiss du Seiss family because the women so outnumber the men in general. Um, and as a matter of exercise, as a matter of stress relief, Gerard and um, Charlotte have taken to sneaking away from their chaperones, uh, just to engage in some lessons in swordplay. For her, she gets to like kind of hike up her skirts and do something very much not feminine that she normally doesn't get to like dip her toes into. Um, and for Gerard, it's kind of one of the few things he has to show his value as a suitor. Since he no longer has money, he doesn't have sorcery to offer. He has the name of his family and and his skill at this. Um, and as we kind of come into the scene, the chaperones are still sitting like a ways off. They're not actually like dueling at this moment. Um, and Charlotte is she has a dark cloud over her today, and she does more times than not. But this particular day, it's like darker than most, and it's something that she's not even trying to sort of like hide. She's not even trying to um, pretend otherwise. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Um, she, in a word, she's sulking, but she's sulking in an incredibly beautiful way. Uh, and um, you know, arms crossed, a little bit of a pout, and doing the thing where she's kind of like she's denying that anything wrong, but she's doing it at enough of like a I'm irritable way that it's very clear that something is, and she just wants him to be persistent about it.
Something vexes me more. What is wrong?
Um, she kind of huffs and um she she runs her like fingers through like the ringlets of her hair for a moment, and then says, I she says, I am so sick of being here and missing everything that is happening in the capital. She said, no offense to Pay. And she gestured around like what is largely considered like the second loveliest city in Montaigne. It's a place like filled with flowers and beautiful architecture and like nothing but homes for like visiting envoys, like those who will serve them, and it's all like artfully arrayed and stuff like that. But she absolutely treats it as though like she's in a dump. Um,
I understand me more, and I know you realize that pay is the gateway to the emperor. A,
um,
a more prestigious, a more valuable position I cannot think of other than being on the emperor's throne itself.
she says, and Auntie has insisted that I begin courtship with an Eisen. She makes a noise like pure disgust.
And Eisen, but what of our courtship?
She says, hey, she says it's appropriate no matter what that a woman have many suitors. It shows her desirability. And she just kind of like she gives a small shrug. She's like, it's not as though I have an interest in him. He's 70 years older than me. She says, what am I to do with him but give him a heart attack?
Perhaps that is what your auntie has in mind. A short marriage, a heart attack, and uh, Eisen lands now in the house of C to say.
She kind of like huffs and she's like, I don't even know if he has lands. He has businesses, like some kind of merchant.
I just
Uh, um, and she kind of she looks to the chaperones and like the chaperones have not made any uh they've not done a very good job of hiding the fact that like every time Gerard and Charlotte slip away, they're going somewhere and getting it on themselves, so they're not like the best caretakers. For his part, Sherrod's own chaperone is like, yeah, there's no way Sherrod's gonna like take advantage of this young girl outside of like wedlock. So he doesn't think anything of it. And there's a gorgeous Sice to Sice woman that is flirting with him the entire time. So um and she says, "Can we go have another lesson?"
Of course, it will help ease your temper and let you blow off some steam. Besides, you still haven't quite gotten down that counter-parry.
Um she uh she smiles and she says, "It's harder for me than it is for you." She says, "I'm in a dress," and she kind of like makes a little like wiggle with her shoulders. She says, "And when I turn sideways, I have these, so I'm a larger target than you."
Very true, Miramar. But you have other assets that I could not even hope to carry that can serve as a distraction and a fight.
Um, she says, "Oh, is that all I am to you? A distraction?" And then kind of uses the moment to kind of like go for the dagger at her belt as if she can catch you off guard. You know what I'm saying? Part of Valro is the inherent sort of like back and forth of like witty banter. It's built into the style itself that part of what you're trying to do is humiliate and embarrass, um, or flirt and catch them off guard. And like her swordsmanship is nowhere near as good as her banter is. She's actually caught him a few times with that. And uh that we kind of cut to her being trained amidst like the gardens of Pei and having to stop up like every time like a carriage goes by or somebody that might see her doing this inappropriate thing. But then like it I don't know if you've seen Wayne's World, but like the scene where they're like doing hockey in the street and it's like car, it's more like carriage, and then it finishes rolling by and they're immediately back to like dueling, jumping up on like sections of wall and like fighting their way over a bridge, and then carriage goes by and just swords hidden behind the back, leaning against the walls, pretending like they're just having like a normal dalliance in a conversation. um and then uh I want Gerard, this is going to be um a role that he's not making in the moment, but he's making like as future Gerard, as he's like recollecting this. Does that make sense? And I
Mhm.
want the role to be your wits, plus your exploit weakness of Valro.
One moment while I gather that. What am I keeping?
You're keeping your wits.
There you go.
Um, as in the moment, Gerard is absolutely star-crossed with this person and can think little wrong of them. But in the years later, with hearing, the litany of things that she's done and everything, as he's thinking back on this moment, he realizes that in these practice duels, Charlotte was prodigiously intelligent, but always hid it. She always played it down. And one of the ways that came across was that she learned more Velro in these small sessions that were scattered days apart over the course of a year than he did with like daily training through his childhood. Does that make sense? By the
Mhm.
time like they were well into their courtship, she was actually playing down her ability and doing it subtly enough so that he continually felt like he had something to offer, so that he wasn't so that his like ego was never threatened. Does that make sense? And still trying to like absorb everything that she could learn from him. Um, and uh like focus on other things as well. The moments that they weren't practicing swordsmanship. It was her learning a language that he knew. Does that make sense? Her kind of inquiring about the other skills that he had. And doing so in a manner that was always like, oh, your life is so interesting and so adventurous, and mine is so dull. But her questions are consistently intelligent and consistently like milking him for everything she could. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Um, and at one point, he there's it's cutting to like a little while later, and there's a little like cafe where she sees him with the uh DeRozan. Um, and Gerard, I think, has had spoken Eisen for some time, like he'd learned it on his own because he had a friend who spoke it, right?
Right.
And he had been teaching her Eisen, and he realizes like she's having a date, he can see the same like chaperone and whatnot, in which she is pretending to barely understand Eisen, whereas Gerard has taught her to near fluency at this point. Um, and he she's like asking him questions, and he's kind of trying to turn it of like, oh, tell me about your day, and blah blah blah. And she kind of she smiles and she shares something with him. She says, I wrote a letter today that I hope is going to put me back in the good graces of my aunt. Um, and she's saying all of this in kind of like a mix of like broken Eisen and Montaigne, and like continually forcing him to like ask to repeat it. Does that make sense? And then she'll say it and she'll give him just enough that he understands on like the second or third time. Does that make sense? But
Mhm.
Gerard can like see the way his like attention is absolutely focused on her. And maybe at the time, I don't know whether he thinks of it as like her just like uh wanting to be less interesting to him since she didn't speak Eisen fluently, and was like maybe trying to like sabotage the courtship.
As
Um
star-crossed as he is, and as in love with her as he was, yes, that is his exact thought. How adorable. She's trying to ruin this for me.
she's trying to ruin the courtship so that she can be
Mhm.
with him, etc. And she leans forward, and she notices the way that Kirsch's eyes kind of immediately go down the scoop of her bosom, and um, she tells that she wrote a story to uh, her rival's grandmother, um, and explained that for all of her rivals' many many assets, she was she was adopted, which means that their children have very little chance of having Porte. Um, and there's a delight in it. There's a delight in having sabotaged a courtship. And I think it's something that Gerard at this time doesn't see, but in reflection, he can see like a certain cruelty in her in having done this because it was something that uh, her rival wanted. And maybe she wanted the courtship for herself. Maybe she didn't care about it. Maybe it was just that she felt like it was her due and somebody else had it. And there's kind of like moments where Gerard's like remembering like snippets of conversation and honor, and every time that Charlotte is talking about her rival, it's always in the context of she took what's mine. She took my place in line. She took my aunt's affection. She took like the betrothal that was supposed to be mine. I was supposed to be the belle of the ball, and she took that from me.
It was always there. I just never saw it.
And and realizing like this is a hatred that has run years deep, that she's always hidden behind a smile. Every time she brought it up with Gerard, afterwards she just like laughed it off as like a silly court game that like sisters and cousins played with each other. The Seiss Seiss family was known for being wits, for being, cutting intellects who the Duchess drove someone to suicide. So it seemed natural in the course of how she explained it, that it was like a familial way of showing affection. We just sabotage each other a little bit. Ha ha ha. Um, and now he can see with a little bit more clarity. And I think we kind of come to the moment where Gerard is kind of seeing Honorine still bent over Jemay, and like the closeness of like that familial relationship of that Jemay sees Honorine as her daughter, and doesn't like acknowledge her as that, but like the affection between them is something that is real and is deep. Um, and Jemay knows for whatever reason she's never going to have an heir of her own. And I think Gerard can see with crystal clarity that Jemay is grooming Honorine to replace her. And understands the source of Charlotte's rage.
Only I had a crystal ball.
And I think we're gonna come to like the end of this cold open, but I'm not actually gonna close it. It's I wanna know what like Gerard does with this information in the moment. We're still kind of in the room where like they're being tended to. I want what is how is Runa being tended? How is Honorine tending to um Gav is there as well. Like, you've got people who are injured. How are you guys are you sticking around? Are you reading stories? Are you keeping company? Are you fretting nervously? Like, what are the three of you up to as you're kind of having this moment at like the edge of the hospital room and kind of coming to terms with the romance that you had?
Um, Gav brought Ettore with him. Is Ettore still there?
Itori had gone to get
Right,
the
right.
other thing for
The other
Runa's
things he
recovery.
needed. So yeah, Gav's using what he knows about first aid and taking care of people who are ill.
Runa does not know how to sit down. I feel like she would be like giving him pointers as
and then
he's
Gav
doing
is
it.
occasionally just gently pushing her back. Like, sit
But
down,
she just like
Sparky.
Runa, I'm
she
going to
just
put you
walks
out with
right
a blow
back up.
dart.
I'm
Sit
not-
down.
I'm not
Sit
doing anything.
down.
I'm helping. I'm teaching.
Shut up. Stop. Just rest.
I don't think she knows how to rest.
I know, and Honorine's like, listen, I grew up with Jemay. I know exactly what's going on here.
Like
did Rory just call you out?
Perhaps.
Yeah, it does seem very close to life. You do seem a little bit similar. But I think Honorine is just like, you will relax or I will relax you.
Do it then.
And Jemay just it cuts through everything with like
Prepare
a
the
bit
very
of
comfortable chair.
Jemay cuts through everything with like a laugh, and like the kind of like back and forth. And there's a moment where she's kind of like looking to everyone, and whether she's said so aloud or not, I think Gerard can see that Jemay has like she's adopted everybody in this room. they're
I love
like part
Jemay.
of-
I'm so happy
It's
to be
official.
adopted. I'm so happy to be adopted by Jemay.
And she kind of like, can we have Runa come over here? I've got some books I want to read with her.
Oh my
Gav
God.
picks her up like she weighs nothing.
I can walk, Gav.
But you do not need to.
You're just
She just like
encouraging her.
slumps. I assume he just like has just put her over his shoulder. She just hangs, like
Yeah.
dead hangs. She's like fine.
Like a
And-
ferret.
And
Honorane's got- Hmm.
Janae kind of like picks up a book and opens it in front of the both of them. Um, and she says, "You'll like this one. It's about astronomy."
So I was thinking that Honorine had been like sitting there with soup, and I was going to say that, but now it's even funnier because I think Honorine like moves the soup away from the books.
Um, and Janae just like smiles and gives her like a thanks, and then kind of like looks up at Sherrod and she knows that he's been quiet for some time. Um, and she just kind of goes quiet herself, giving him like the opening to talk, to kind of interject, share his thoughts.
His thoughts are 1,000 miles away right now, and it's very obvious on his vacant face as he slowly strokes his beard. What is the connection?
And she raises an eyebrow.
Oh, hold on a moment.
She says, "Share your thoughts with us, monsieur."
Would you like some of the soup, Sherrod?
Merci, thank you.
I can't tell if that was a yes or a no.
It's a yes.
Okay.
Um,
And she'll like start doling it out.
please
Like
forgive
start making some.
my distance of thought, but something has bothered me for a short time. After I was told of the attempted, I shouldn't say attempted, the kidnapping, the waylaying of Mademoiselle Honorine on her way here. What bothered me is, what would the Inquisition be doing kidnapping a lady of the court? And I've come to realize I know who ordered the kidnapping, but I do not see the connection with the Inquisition. It should have been obvious from the beginning, but circumstances blinded me to this truth. I believe, milady, your cousin Charlotte ordered the kidnapping.
It wasn't the Inquisition that ordered the kidnapping. The kidnapper tried to benefit from it.
We. But why? How would they know?
Well, Therese. One second, I had just put a crunchy cracker in my mouth right then, so I was trying not to crunch on my microphone. And Honorine's gonna be like, no, we know it was that horrible woman, Therese. Rosette runs to Ron.
Teresa Rosette runs to Roan, yes.
Ron, yes. We know that it was her and that she ordered my execution, not a kidnapping. The kidnapping was, in a very odd way, a lucky turn.
As far as the connection to the Inquisition, I know Sherrod's been stewing on it, but Honorine, having been there, is fairly certain of the connection because she was there when she was turned over to the Inquisition, and the swordsman who'd been hired by Teresa was so terrified by the Scotten man, he was seeking the safety of the church. He was seeking them because he was at that point terrified of darkness of any kind, and he believed the Inquisition could protect him from the demon. And so it was not as deep a connection as Gerard might be looking for. It was literally the actions of somebody who was panicked out of their mind.
I see.
But you think it was Charlotte that somehow conspired with Therese?
We. I have come to realize that for a very long time, Mademoiselle Rosa has had a rivalry of her own with you.
And Honoring's laugh is just like, it's not condescending. It's very much like he has just said something clearly outrageous.
And I think the kidnapping was an attempt to remove you from the board and to hurt your aunt.
So she started to laugh, and then, like, at the look on Gerard's face, she kind of paused, and then kind of glanced at her aunt and glanced at Gerard, and then, like, as he continues talking, she's like,
She blamed for a long time your aunt for her loss of position in the Emperor's court, for loss of prospects, for, in her own way, being saddled with me, being promised to an Eisen. I wondered what the viciousness of her attack on your auntie could be. And then I remembered things that I didn't see before.
and she just sort of, like, stares at Gerard, then, like, looks to Gav, looks to Runa, looks to Jamais, looks back at Gerard.
Shimei looks very thoughtful, and she says, you may not remember it, she says, but I remember every book you read, she read. Every endeavor you took part in, she tried to learn how to do herself. She says, and she always pushed herself with Porte. She says, part of my concern with her was her recklessness. She was too young to be trying some of the things she was trying. She could have died for it.
Well, I don't even have Porte.
She nods. Next time, more than anything, your position in the Emperor's courts, your advantages in courtships, and you did not have Porte, and she did. You are not skilled with the sword that she was. But that is my doing.
You were apparently a very good teacher.
I believe that I'm as good a teacher as I once thought I was.
So I don't think. Oh, I'm sorry. Keep going. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, pardon-moi. I did not mean to interrupt you. But she was very clever in hiding her skills, pretending she was less than she is.
Seems to have gotten good at it.
Clipped.
She seems to have gotten good at it.
Not quite as good as she thinks. She resorted to using a coward's weapon. Mademoiselle Jamais, would you be able to guide me to where it is that you found them?
She says she's in Crescent Lands.
I can get you to Crescent Lands.
Not the portal with the guards.
Can you be there before
Honorary, no. Sorry.
And it's clear, I think Sherrod probably has been a student of Montaigne nobility in general, and probably like honoring herself, cease to cease. And I think he's probably had enough time to like kind of be able to read them a little bit. And honoring has the look of someone who has never, I mean, he's probably seen it in his like swordsman career and stuff. She has the look of someone who has never ever thought of anybody as like a rival or like a nemesis. Like, she definitely, during the time that he wasn't here, like, she had her whole thing that she was dealing with the Inquisitor that was like after her, but that was survival, that was provoked, that was like a like a
Like a
cause
give
and
and
effect.
take.
Yeah, like a cause and effect kind of thing. So she just has this look of someone who is just like almost has the sense of like, it didn't occur to her that she could be that personally important to anyone in that way. And I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like that's
I get it.
a look that we have seen, like you've kind of seen before on somebody's face in some cases in real life. But like, I know every once in a while it comes up on somebody's face and you're like, oh, I know that look.
Gerard takes Honorine's hand and brings her knuckles to his lips. Sweet Honorine, this is why Charlotte never needed to worry about you as a rival. The rivalry was in her mind only. And for what she has done, she will pay. And as I am the cause of this pain, I will be the one to remove it.
Well, I think we'll probably have to flip a coin for that, but I can get you to Crescent Lands, but it will not be easy, and it probably won't be stealthy.
I made my way to Arasa and back. Ease is not a concept that I am familiar with.
He's going to Crescent Lands to get her. Shouldn't I be going with to get Gris?
No.
2 birds, 1 stone.
He will
Janae
not be
says,
alone.
she makes it. I want to point out a game that like it's known that the tunnel underneath the city goes to the palace of the Crescent Lands, which is nowhere near where Gris and her port town are. Which means you'd have to get across Crescent Lands
But
without.
her thinking is Gerard's talking about going to get Charlotte. Charlotte and Gris are in the same place. She's just very.
Yeah. Jimmy says, give me a few days to recover, and I can get everyone into Crescent Lands near to Charlotte.
Very good. And you will know if she leaves the Crescent Lands, no?
Yes. I don't know where her other artifacts are, but I will be able to sense them in the in her home, and I can make sure that she can't use them anymore. Or rather that they lead to the inside of a jail cell.
Well, do we know where exactly? I mean, the Crescent Lands are large. Do we know exactly where?
She says, I remember that I saw. I'm switching over to the map real quick so that I'm not speaking out of my backside.
We've heard that noise before.
So, she says, when we traveled, when I saw briefly the ocean to the southeast.
What else did you see?
She says mostly the wreckage of a port city. It looked like it might have been sacked during the Crusades and never rebuilt. Most of the buildings were falling apart. The docks hadn't been repaired except for one, and I saw a very large crescent warship.
If you, Gav, could you draw it?
If I have seen it,
What she tells you, could you try to draw it?
I could attempt, but I have never seen crescent lands. I do not know their architecture or I.
And
He's
Germaine
like,
interjects there. She says, "Do you know Castilian architecture? Have you seen pictures of it in books?" And probably because Gav's had an interest in art and like, those kind of things are normal sources to like practice from. Um,
more so recently, but had the time to read.
um, just as it will give me something to do while I'm recovering.
I will get my books.
Like
So
it.
I'm gonna drop our cold open here just so we can get introductions and we don't like forget to do them the entire game. uh, since Gav leaving to get the books is a good point to break it. So, thank you everyone, and welcome to the Shadow of the Wachtturm. Our producer tonight is one of the moderators of Dirty 20 Gaming, the delightful and compassionate Gloriosa. Our lore master for the series is the beautiful and benevolent Syndra. Before we get started, I wanted to give a content warning. While the spirit of Seven Seas, swashbuckling adventure, and shadowy intrigue, the story will deal with mature themes, including death, loss, suicide, and grief. Eisen, our setting, is recovering from a 30-year civil war over religious differences. It may get dark sometimes, and there's no shame in bowing out if it's not a place your head can go at the moment. So without further ado, I'm gonna have our savvy swashbucklers introduce themselves, starting with Shadow.
Hello, everybody. I am Shadow, also known as the True Shadow Master. I am playing a Gerard Saint Germain Dupont, a swashbuckler of fortune, guardian to the Sarducci family, apparently now. And you can find me hanging around in the Dirty 20 Gaming Discord channel, as well as the DDR, or the Desperate Dice Rollers gaming channel. I am one of their founding members. Sometime here in the hopefully near future, I will also be DMing a 5.5 D&D game based on my custom world, homebrew world of Sisora. So hopefully that'll be coming up soon. In the meantime, I'm going to pass things on down to Pat Kyle.
Hi, folks. It's me, Bad Kyle. You found me. And you can find me here currently on Sundays and only Sundays, although that may change here in a bit if I can get everything together for the Scion game I'm planning and I can't stop writing for. Otherwise, you can, of course, you can find me here as Len, the Ass of Asura, and the Herald of Doom. I still consider last session some Doom being heralded, so just to put that out there. Besides
But
that,
it was delivered by a friendly dragon.
that just makes it cooler Doom. That doesn't cut down the Doom part of that at all. In fact, it's more intense Doom. Besides being the Herald of Doom, you can find me on our Discord, being a menace, especially in the memes channel, but not just the memes channel. You can find me in the chat for most of the games you're going to hear about from other people that are in more games than I am. Bison, mostly. And Then you can also find me being menaces other places as
Do you
well.
need a
'cause,
cough drop?
No, I've got beef jerky. It's fine.
Are you sure? That was really nasty.
That was really. I was feeling a little
How-
rattly in my.
How did Ruth get skipped in that? I'm sorry.
As Ruth isn't normally the one who's like, I'm in too many games. Oh, look at how too many games I am in when they do their intros. So
I think I'm in a good amount of games.
yeah,
I
you're
could
in a
do
good amount of
more.
games. You could do more. You've already said you want to be in the Scion game, so
Ruth's
Put
like,
me
is
in,
anybody
coach."
opening a morning game?
another morning game. So let's go over to Ruth. I'm done.
I closed my notes. Hi, I'm Ruth. You found me. I am here on Monday in the Pandora's Gift Suncast as Xenon Al-Qaeda's Cleric of Nyx. Alternate Wednesdays in our holy fuck. Alternate Wednesdays in our Oracle Force game as Trek, other physics-based bullshit. Thursdays as Nora Avalon in Deviant Paradox. And Sunday, today, as Runa. Why would I have a man lift something I could easily lift myself, Ingvild's daughter? I did write that last week. And that's all from me. I'm gonna go to Hans.
Hey everybody, my name's Rory. You can find me here every Sunday.
Unmute.
Yeah. Is everyone prepare for your favorite bit of the game?
I just got excited. That's all.
But yeah, you can find me here
Unmute and say you.
playing Mr. Same but different. Everyone's favorite soldier boy,
You.
Hans Reifenstahl. You can also find me as a fellow member of the Oracle Force cast, our wonderful Masks a New Generation campaign run by the Scarred Adventurer himself when we return from our hiatus, currently as Graviton, physics-based nightmare for everyone, apparently, and potential walking time bomb. We'll find out next episode.
Physics-based cutie.
If you haven't already, catch up on the YouTubes. It's a great game. If you like superheroes and stuff, watch the VODs that are up already and wait excitedly while we return. Other than that, yeah, my mantra of being too unemployed to have fun remains roughly the same.
Al-Qaida's nuts is good.
We got Al-Qaida's nuts and Boffidy's nuts. We got
Yeah, we got the D's Nuts game over here, guys. Check that one out on YouTube too. Check out all our games on YouTube. Why not? With that aside, before I drag this on any further, keep an eye out for stuff I'm going to do later. I don't know. Bison, you go next.
Me just getting the joke that Glory put in chat. Hi, I'm Bison_Stonefist. Yes, the underscore is part of my government name. I'm a regular on this channel. I'm not here so much. It's only 3 times a week. You're back, Kyle. It's apparently not that much anymore. Whatever. Just throwing that out there. I'm here 3 times a week. Tonight I'm playing Gav the Grin, is our lovable back alley Batman and sewer surf and suplex machine. On Monday, I am part of the Pandora's Gifts Suncast, or the Aldi's Nuts casts as both ADs. Our humble servant of Hephaestus and professional Nutcracker. On Thursdays on the Deviant Paradox, which is a City of Mists campaign, I play Garrett Sakes, our local emo kid and demisexual disaster child. Other than that, you can catch me in the Discord a lot. I post memes, I react to memes, I'm just there a lot because I have no life. Speaking of no life, let's go to Sarah.
Yay! Yeah. Hey y'all, my name is Sarah. I go by Sans on the Discord. I'm on this channel 3.5 nights a week, which, you know what? Yeah, I can include another game. I am here tonight playing Rosa Nyx. That was really fast and I didn't like it.
Title of your sex tape?
Monday night, our Pandora's Gift Nightcast. I play Clarity Palace, the best healer ever. And no, I totally didn't hide last time. Our Wednesday game, whenever it comes back, Mask, a new generation, or the game is called Oracle Force. I play Nightwish. I won't be the leader for much longer. And our Thursday game, which is I need to fix all my notes. They're not readable anymore, y'all. Our City of Mist campaign, Deviant Paradox. I am the DM of the Chaos over there. Yeah. Other than that, you can find me over on Tango Productions, working with the Scarred Adventurer and Raw Paper Fox on stuff and things that'll come out eventually.
I need to interject real quick before you throw to somebody else. I
Okay.
want to give you props for both like the voice acting work, like with Rosa's Vadachi accent as well as clarity. Like if I tried to speak in that register for more than 10 seconds, I would not be able to speak for a week afterwards of doing a session. So I just wanted to give you some snaps for that and make you
Oh,
blush.
thank
And
you.
now you can throw it to somebody else.
Honorine, have you gone?
I don't think so.
Okay, my ADHD
think
is
it's
hitting
just
me really
me.
hard. Okay,
I
then
think
it's your turn.
it's. Raise your hand if you have not gone. Okay, yeah.
We choose you,
Anyway.
Honorine.
Yep.
Hi. I'm Bleeds of Gloriosa, better known around here as Glory, or sometimes Why Is Our Producer Screaming? I produce on this channel 2 nights a week, or I will be when Masks comes back. I produce alternate Wednesdays for Masks: A New Generation game Oracle Force. And on Thursdays, I do produce and I scream a lot. On Thursdays, I produce for our City of Mist campaign, Deviant Paradox. You can catch me in front of the camera 1 night a week on my own channel, streaming games. And this week, we hopefully will be finishing up Dispatch. We'll see. And then moving on to the next game. So that'll be on Tuesday. Tonight, I am here as Honorine. Last week, me was really salty, guys. I don't want to read this.
Do it.
Please do.
Tonight has Honorine has all of the questions and none of you fuckers has the answers. It's
10 points. Well done.
She should get a Ramadan.
Yeah,
That's
I'm good with it.
Please.
First Ramadan of the Day is going to Honorine just for the
Incredible.
salty intro.
Why won't any of you fucking people tell me anything?
So here we are. I do not remember writing that, and I feel kind of bad, but I'm glad you guys thought it was funny.
Sweet on the read.
Absolutely funny.
You answers.
Please.
I love the
I
mystery
adore
intro.
you.
The
I
mystery intro
adore
is
you
so much
so
fun.
bad. Kyle, I love your wife.
Somebody else stop talking now. Start talking.
All right.
So
I
tell us
am
what we're
Siosa.
starting with.
I am the storyteller of the Madhouse tonight. The Shadow of the Wachtturm. I'm only here on Sundays. I would run games 3 nights a week if I didn't have to work, but unfortunately, I do. So you can find me on the Discord. I'm not on any other social media. I'm really bad at self-promotion, so we're gonna move on. In the ancient days of Numa, the great storyteller and philosopher Sarah the Wiser once noted that an adventure can only begin in one of 3 ways: by death, by slur, or by letter. To begin without one of these incitements is folly, a tobacco best described as an indiscretion, a dalliance, an escapade. But fear not, we begin tonight, properly girded, with a letter, the most seductive of the 3, and thus the most powerful. The letter in question is a strongly worded letter that was written by Honorine a few days ago and addressed to Konagreek Posen after the discovery that he had.
to Seeger.
Or sorry,
Not
to
Tosin.
Seeger after the discovery
She would
that
have
he
different
had
strong words for Tosin.
after the discovery that he had put Heinzel to death, or at least that his forces had, which, functionally the same thing. And the this is just sort of like a cutscene because Honorine and none of the cast has any way of knowing this, but I want everybody to picture Eric Seeger, a mountain of a man, clad in Draconism. He's not the full Draconism that like Posen is. He's a sort of like half his body covered in it, with a new eye patch and still like padding and tissue around it from like where he lost an eye in the Schwarzenwalden, um, settling into his tent late at night and being offered like the correspondence of the day. Most of it is like field reports from other commanders, the forces that are on the move that are reporting back to him as to their position, their numbers, how things are going. And in the midst of it, a lightly perfumed, you know, carefully closed letter that is obviously from a noble and not an officer, that he looks a little puzzled at, and he opens and he reads. Do you still have that letter, Audrey?
I do.
Would you care to read the contents of it for us,
Uh,
so that we can imagine it in Honorine's voice as Seeger is hearing it?
I'd be happy to. It says Koenig Seeger, and there's no salutation or anything. It's just Koenig Seeger. It came to my attention recently that Koenig Heisel was executed on your order in a manner that turned my stomach. I will waste neither time nor ink outlining the ways in which what you have done is despicable. In truth, I doubt even my aunt could find the words for the depravity of your actions. I regret my previously positive misestimation of your character. In sadness, and then there's her initials. Muted.
Seeger looks at the letter for a second, and he kind of, he rubs at his eye, and he passes it to like a captain that's in the room. He's like, read that to me. And the captain starts to read it. His voice kind of falters as he's being forced to read this critical letter to Seeger. And at the end of it, he's looking a little pale himself as Seeger studies him with the one eye. Like the man was intimidating before, and now with the eye patch and the scar on his face and like the darkness that he's seen in the Schwarzenwalden, it's even more so. And so when Seeger suddenly breaks into laughter, it's like cutting the room with a knife. And Seeger kind of like pounds the table, and he's like, if I was 20 years younger, the fuck I would throw into that. Get me my pen. So we cut back to the room where Gerard and Runa and Honorine and Gav are. And as Gav is like coming back with his sketchbook, Ettore is returning as well. And he kind of, he holds up a small bag. And he says, good time. They're not in the middle of surgery.
They are both stable.
Um,
I will warn you, Runa's a little fussy.
Right
he
now,
says,
I feel like she's kind of just like leaning on Jemay because tired from the going through the antidote.
She totally just got read to sleep by Jemay. Tell me you're wrong.
I mean,
She's
Janae absolutely
probably,
like
like,
put an arm
dozing
around
off.
her. Yeah, Janae absolutely put an arm around her and was reading her like books on
Runa
like astronomy
is
and
dozing
like
off,
constellations.
probably on her chest if her arm is around her.
Yeah.
And Janae has like some pillows, and so she's very naturally like, kind of like petting her hair as she reads. And
I love good pillows.
and just she absolutely enjoys this kind of thing. She's never had children of her own, you know what I'm saying? So like in the moment when she kind of like realizes that Runa is sleeping, she just kind of like, oh, and like turns the page and continues to read aloud, even though Runa's like asleep.
She was could not keep her sitting.
And Ettore like follows in behind Gav with a small sack in hand. So
Honorin's visibly happy to see him. She gets up and she hugs him.
yeah, he returns the hug with a smile, and the realization that she is embracing him in front of like the Duchess of her family, it makes him smile, and he like she can see that something crosses his face, and he decides it's in his best interest to not say it now. um he says, I brought something that should help the both of you with recovery from the poison.
Hearing him talk, because she had it in her mind that she needed to talk to him about something. She's gonna sit up. It's like, don't go too soon. I like you to take a look at Hans's wounds. They're not healing right.
I ain't there right now.
Later.
He says, I can take a look at him at the captain's office.
Did Hans get wounded too? Honorin's gonna look
From the
over
red
at
cap.
In the war.
Yeah, no, she's looking at. I know that.
Oh, okay.
That was in character.
Hans's wounds aren't healing as they should. And it looks like he might be affected by
Was he poisoned?
I think so, but it doesn't have a smell to it.
He says, if he'd been struck by something with anticoagulants, he'd already be dead. With this much time since the war.
He's already been dead once. Would that change anything?
Shimei looks to it like there's several people that kind of like, Aru.
Don't worry about it.
I think she means this. I think she means hypothetically speaking.
I may have put too much wormwood in the tea.
Shimei kind of, she arches an eyebrow. You are welcome to try to make a wits roll against her to convince her of that. But
can I roll resolve?
No.
No, I want to see this wits roll. Please roll
For
the
me?
wit. But no,
Can
no,
I roll?
Yeah.
Can I roll
please
with my
roll.
appearance?
Please, no. Maybe.
I'm letting you know that unless you call 3 raises, you're just leaving it as that she might believe you, but she's uncertain. Like, you have to do 3 raises of this to like, oh, okay, she's absolutely drugged out of her mind.
Okay. We'll see
Which
how
means
it goes.
which would put that target number at 50, by the way, if you want to call those 3 raises. If you just want to like get it to the point where she's willing to leave some doubt, it's 35.
I'll call 3 raises. Can I roll with my appearance?
No, it's Gav who's rolling. He's the one who tried to sell the lie.
Okay.
Wits plus noble, if you please.
Oh, what's a noble? Okay, I've only got 2 dots in noble.
I will allow scholar if you have it.
Nope.
Okay.
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm not going for the 50.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna make it. That's 16, 22, 27.
Yeah. She's just like she kind of like pats Ruda on the back. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a look of like, I know that you're trying to like cover something up. I don't know why. I'm curious, but I'm not going to press right now.
Honestly, she probably gets that feeling a lot in the Montaigne court.
And so Ittori's like, that does seem like it would be relevant if he had been. How long was he dead for? A few minutes? I've heard of cases of.
And also,
Sorry, you were muted for the first couple
does
words.
Runa know how long Hans was dead
Years.
for?
Years.
Okay.
Several years.
Maybe this is a conversation we maybe should have on the way too, if anyone will let me get up.
He says you
Just like
should.
very like, I'm awake now and I'm ready to go.
He hands the pills. He says, one of these an hour for the next 24 hours for the both of you. There should be enough. He says, and after that, I think you'll be fine to be up and about and moving around. He says, the serpent that bit you can cause permanent damage to the nerves. You can lose permanent feeling in your fingers, hands, feet, or suffer after pains. He says for years. Rest and recover.
And Runa kind of just like gently, but like dramatically flops back onto Jemay.
Yeah, and Jemay takes one of them and pops it down, and so
Runa will as well. She's just being dramatic about not being able to do things.
And she looks at Runa. She's like, I'm going to so beat you at bed rest.
Well,
Competition now? Fuck.
At
And
least
she-
Runa's found like the one person that Honorine doesn't care if she hits on her.
And like Runa just swears in Festin. Not in like a mean way towards Jemay. It's just like, fuck, I'm stuck. I can't do shit. No one's gonna let me get up, and now it's a fucking competition.
Yeah, and she just kind of like mockingly like, look at all these interesting books I have, what's the next one down? So the let me cut over to Hans. I'm guessing that Hans's first instinct after the talk with Shadow Daddy was not to like go to sleep.
Probably not.
I think it's going to be off camera, but there was a conversation with the captain of the overall guard of Freiburg of like, hey, this is who I want to appoint. He's got war experience. He's from Montaigne, etc. And he's utterly willing to like accept the suggestion. He's aware that like Hans is on his way to Marshall, and that's already proven to be a very necessary role. But
Yeah.
there is the practical matter of kind of having to like clear out his office and everything like that. And in the midst of that period, he sorry. As he's clearing everything out, it's fairly late at night, but there is a knock at the door.
Yeah. Okay.
And the head of the brothel, the Leaky Jugs, who's been sort of like bearding with Hans, you know what I'm saying, for like quite some time now. Like the rumors are definitely circulating about them. It's helped keep some of like the interest at bay, you know what I'm saying? She
There's
says
so much
It saves him
interest.
from a little bit of his fan club.
it saves him from a little bit of his fan club, and it's at least given him like a ready like, oh, like I'm sorry, I'm a reason to turn down requests to dinner, requests to an invitation, etc.
Yeah. He doesn't have to use only work as an excuse now.
Yeah, and so she kind of smiles and she says, you have been a hard man to get a hold of.
Oh, yeah, I'm not surprised. There's so much has been going on now.
She nods like with some sympathy. She says, I've come by with a meal a few times and you're not even here to take your lunch. She says, but I have managed to weed out from a few of the others that you've been promoted, and this office might not be yours much longer.
Yeah, moving up, as it were. To clean this place out and move my papers to the Dragon's Tooth. But wait, are we still saying the Dragon's Tooth is like the military office now, or is that still the?
The Dragon's Tooth has been converted over to, it's going to be the headquarters for the military and the marshals.
Yes.
And
Okay, cool.
the Dragon's Tooth have kind of started to move to take positions in establishing a new military.
Okay, nice. I am correct then. And you had to move things to a new office, other office in the Dragon's Tooth, and but yeah, a new position to keep me from sleeping at night now.
She kind of smiles and she says, "It's about your sleeping arrangements. I wanted to inquire." She says, "With your new position, you're not going to be near my place of business." She says, "Do you wish to maintain our arrangement, or should I end things amicably?"
I think as of late, I've had whatever you may want to call it, a feeling, premonition. I think it is about time to face the music, as it were. I appreciate you covering for me. It's kept a whole other stressor at bay, but
She kind of smiles and she says, "Your reputation as alone and being willing to use it for the leaky jokes has saved us a lot of trouble."
I'm glad. It is good to have had a decrease in incidents. I hope our successor will be as kind to you as I was, and as ready to defend you. I know him.
Would you make an introduction?
Of course, yeah, I'd be happy to.
She
I'm
says,
sure he will see the need for extra care for your establishment.
But she says, to be bold, is he someone you think would like to take up the arrangement that we had?
I cannot say for certain. I don't know him as well as other members of the council, but it could be worth a shot. I don't know.
She says, "Well, I'll appreciate an introduction."
Of course,
she says,
yeah.
And she says, "Thank you for being such a gentleman throughout our courtship." She smiles and she steps in and she embraces him. She says, "For what it's worth, I've enjoyed," she says, "the time we've had to catch up and tell each other about our day." She says, "Brief as they are."
It is a nice but if small respite in my many many things I have to do. I appreciate everything you've done for me to keep me from succumbing to the insanity of lack of sleep.
She kind of smiles and she says, "I hope you understand that you're going to be inundated once I make it clear that I am not pursuing you any longer."
Yeah.
She says, "Social status, position, an honorable reputation, a steady income. That means so much more than you know in this city."
I suppose I'll have to adapt as I have before now. Things are changing.
She kind of smiles and squeezes his arm and she says, "I look forward to the introduction."
Of course, yeah, I will send word for you within the few days, once I have finished my departure arrangements.
And she nods at that. So the at that she lets herself out and Hans kind of gets to finish cleaning up. I think to what degree is he still chewing on everything with Shadow Daddy? Like, is he still sort of angry after everything with that, or is that past?
I think there's still a part of him that feels like he needs more guidance. I feel like there's always that little nagging self-doubt. You know, how did the son of the nation's biggest coward get here on not by his own on not but his own reputation and his own like work ethic. There's a small part that doubts if he is really going to be ready when the fated day that he was talking about finally arrives. But I it, Tiwasog has been encouraging. I would say he's an encouraging presence and a very grounding presence for Hans, and that like more personal discussion is something that they haven't, I had assumed, done in a while with the happenings with war and his kind of training dreams previously. And I think it was a well needed kind of break to just sit and talk and mull over some of these things that have been eating away at him recently.
The it's a relatively small box of things all told that fits into the box, that he's taking out. And one of the things that like as he's been more and more of a marshal, it's been more and more of like a when he gets out, it tends to be to like the training grounds, to the campgrounds, to brief Logan. Does that make sense? It like tends to not be like I get to like walk my district or anything like that. And as he's walking it, he's kind of realizing like this is the last time he'll be walking the district as Captain Hans, you know, and that the district itself has prospered under him. The tree that is like growing up and over part of the city has become something iconic in that like now there are still like branches and ivy and whatnot growing up over a bunch of the walls as that at the time that like nature exploded outward with the death of the Verslingen, it affected everywhere. And it's affected the community in a way that has kind of fundamentally changed it. In that there's a lot more of like looking out for each other than there was before. Um, he's helped the general level of prosperity a bit. The criminal influence has grown a little bit, but not as outlandishly as it could have in the wake of everything. He's seen Riverfront, you know what I'm saying, which is like the most corrupt guards in the city, bar none. They work for whatever gang is paying them at the moment, really.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's not the same in Finehearth. In Finehearth, the guard are trusted. They used to be the most unreliably paid, and now they're considered like hey, look, as long as you're not reaching for the stars and trying to like, bring down a noble's salary, you can get enough to make by here. And it's a good living. And it's in general like they're treated with respect, which is not happening all over the city. Does that make sense? Like it's one of the few places where they're looked at as honest guardsmen. And that has been a pivotal change in like the district as a whole. Is it wealthy? Is it, overflowing with abundance? No. But it's not everybody's like 1 month from crashing out of, bad luck kind of place that it was before. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's still incredibly crowded because it's the first place that most of the people out in despair can actually get into. That somebody can find an open bed and they're willing to open their doors a lot more than any other district. So
nice. Yeah, I'd say he's pretty proud of everything that's happened overall.
And he sees one of the Wakun's hounds kind of, like go barking through the street, and he sees like three of the kids as it goes by. They offer it a salute, even though it's just a puppy. You know what I'm saying? Of like sort of like a recognition. Like the Wakun itself has gotten its own reputation back. Like what was trashed under Kelby Loring when he was working for Redmond is now like restored. And even playfully, they're kind of accepting that the dogs are soldiers too. So, um, and he even sees like a few of the members of Gav's little street gang. Like he recognizes their spots, their little haunts that they hang out at. They know who he is, and um, he sees one of them come up and kind of come to a stop in front of him. And he's like, Captain Hans. He says, "We understand you're leaving the office."
Yeah. I've been I've been promoted.
He says,
Things
"Well,
things are changing, my small friend."
he says, "You've been here a couple months," he says, and he says, "We understand." He says, "You never taken no bribe, and that sucks." He says, "But you ain't never beat a kid neither." So we go to a retirement something.
That is it is most considerate. Thank you.
And he kind of like hands it over. It's in like a little like wrapped box, and he immediately bolts after handing it over, and the other like members of the gang do at the same time as well. And when Hans kind of like opens it and peeks inside, you can see that it's a Panzerhand, not a Draconism one. It's actually like a cheap tin one, like you'd use in training and stuff like that. But the middle finger of the Panzerhand has been welded upright. It's not really clear if it's like meant at him or because like at the end of the day he's still a cop. It's an easy thing to
Yeah.
fix, but like the act of giving a gift at all seems like it's probably like a little bit of like a "you were all right." We didn't do
Yeah.
that. Even if, as the hardened criminals that they are.
The hardened 8-year-old criminals. Tuck it away.
So where is Hans heading to? He's had the encounter with Shadow Man. Is he looking to kind of talk with others, or is he looking to in just opening
Yeah. I mean, I think he wants to get. I want to get the last of his kind of transitory things in order. He wants to finish up properly, setting up as the marshal before he lets himself get distracted by anything. But I think the next thing with the official kind of change to being a marshal is planning out how to broach the subject of his bloodline to Koenig Logan.
And that is probably a conversation that's better had very much in private.
Mm-hmm.
And he does know where Logan's townhome is. It would be relatively on the way home from going from Finehearth to the Drucken Nest. In that the entire city is relatively on his way home from Finehearth to Drucken.
Yeah.
So he can stop in late and see if the Ironbirds will see him unannounced.
Yeah, sure. I think that's about as dignified as he knows how to do things anyways. It's been a long time since he went through the rigmarole of court appointments.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that he has a position as marshal kind of gives him a standing invitation. Like if there was a pressing military member or
There's something important, he can show up if it calls for it. Yeah.
And he finds, Logan answers the door. He's clearly like retired into some evening clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a book that it looks like he's been writing in as opposed to like reading. It says, "Come in, come in." It says, "I see the late hour has not provided you any rest either."
It really does these days. I apologize if I've intruded on your evening activities.
Kind of laughs. He says, "I hope you won't take this the wrong way." He says, "But a handsome military man intruding late at night is not something that I resent in any way."
Noted. um, it is on a strange note. I've come to speak with you this evening. Well, he stepped in and closes the door. You know of the late Imperator Reifenstahl, yeah? His castle in
I never had opportunity
Lands.
to meet him, but my father
You
spoke
did.
poorly of him.
Yeah,
A lot.
as many did. And in a similar vein, if I spoke to you of how I came, how I, if possible, he'll carefully drop his visage of like normal Hans, and he'll carefully reveal the monster within, so to speak, and like, have I told you how I've come to be as
So-
I am?
As I think this is one of the first time Hans is trying to do this deliberately.
I think
Right?
so. I think
And
it
I
is.
want to suggest that it requires a certain act of trust to do so.
Okay.
And so I'd like to like maybe like a physical act of some kind, or like a showing of something, like just describing it is not enough. He has to like emotionally allow himself to trust the person he's showing it to. And so what is Hans's instinct in that regard with Logan, with the understanding that he needs to like kind of breach the distance before he shows something that Logan might find repulsive?
Hmm. Sorry, I may have gotten a couple things mixed up. Can you describe the prerequisite one more time?
He needs to show some like trust in intimacy of some kind. Does that make sense? It's an act of trust and like vulnerability to lower this visage. I think in a lot of the ways it's connected to the masks that Hans wears as both like a military man and his identity and everything like that. So
what would work well? And is your intention, as it an internal and external, or a mix of like, he has to kind of like consciously acknowledge that this person is safe to like see his true form, as well as like have a more external reason?
there are like numerous ways that I think that it could happen. Does that make sense? So what I'm asking is, what is the most natural way that you feel that Hans would like show his trust to somebody like Logan?
I think, well, I think one of the biggest ways would be like actually sharing his life as he was intending to do. Like he is still very anxious about the like revealing of his family, even though he knows it sounds ridiculous, and he comes bearing no token or no artifact of his father. He's still very hesitant to speak about this to basically anyone outside the council. I think maybe perhaps rewind a little bit, and he mentions his father without that context. He mentions the Imperator, and they laugh about how many have spoken poorly of him. I think he recounts, his reputation in the war was shaky by the words of his most loyal subjects, those he had left. If you don't mind a brief story, is in the later years, once I had once I had aged enough to join the military, he sent me and my brothers out to fight with bows and head on. And I'm sure you understand in some way. You cannot always prepare for everything, and I'm sure you also know Posen is a terrifying opponent.
You must have been.
Gestures,
You must have
gestures
been
vaguely to the
terrified.
walls. Oh, I don't think I've known greater fear than the moment she turned her horse to face me, and
Kind of. He says,
me.
"Why did she single you out?"
Oh, well, me being the, arrogant, honestly, arrogant child I still was back then. I thought perhaps I'd take a pistol from my fallen comrades and, a lucky shot would bring her down and turn the tide, as it were. But luck is very rarely on our sides.
So she turned against you because she saw your courage.
Perhaps she saw an easy trophy of the battle, an easy way to get to mein Vater. Perhaps I just happened to be the closest body, but
Can I make an observation?
Yeah,
I've met Conan Posen one time, but in that time, I became absolutely certain that Posen did nothing because it was the easy way.
It's true.
She does not shirk a challenge. Says, so she rode at you. How did you survive?
Well, I will say that there is few greater fears a man can feel when the horse of the most fearsome woman in Eisen is bearing down on him. Survival is it's a tricky matter. I remember my heart racing as I ready my blade again. I remember the strangely cold feeling of her sword piercing my chest. And then I remember this strange sensation of awakening again. I think that is when his face falls.
So
And the mask will fall away.
As he's saying that, when he's talking about like the sword piercing his chest, Logan kind of reaches across the table and he puts his hand and like wraps it around Hans's, and he looks up and there's like a moment of startle, and he lifts a hand and he doesn't ask permission, but he just kind of like raises his fingertips and like draws them up to Hans's cheek. Um, and like kind of brushes a little bit of the hair near his eyes away. And his voice is very soft. He says, "Extraordinary."
I'm glad you think so. Yeah. This is an appearance that disquiets most, I find.
And he kind of like squeezes and he says, Your hand is cold."
Yeah.
And the hand that's at Hans's cheek kind of drops down and it like dips inside of the shirt enough to like put his palm over Hans's heart. And he holds it there for a time, like trying to like get a sense of heartbeat and not getting one. He says, "Is this some kind of sorcery?"
From what I know, it goes far beyond that. You know of.
There's a look that crosses his face as he takes it goes far beyond that, and his gaze kind of drops down to Hans's lap, and then realizes like where he's looking and the way that he's taken it, and is trying to like mentally scrub backwards, like, I don't think he meant that.
Let's go. Sorry.
Phrasing.
I've got to crash.
Perhaps even older than sorcery. That's something I still have yet to understand completely. But
He says, is this what you came by to tell me about this?
Yeah, this and another detail on top of this. Well, I mean, as times are what they are, and this city's position and my responsibilities demand, I felt it best you know the truth of the the man that you are trusting all of our safety to an extent. And
He says, I think there's no need for qualifiers. I think we've already trusted all of our safety to you more than once.
Perhaps it is still, perhaps it is a bit of a selfish need to explain to. I do not fully know, but I felt compelled to be truthful and honest with you, as you have been most honorable to the people of this city.
I want to ask a question. Is Hans more nervous about revealing this than the fact that he's like quasi undead?
Probably yes. I think he's more come to terms with what he is, like physically, as opposed to what he is by heritage still. So this is a bit of a leap of faith for him.
Yeah, and as Logan kind of sees him like struggling with it, he puts like his other hand around, so he's like making kind of as much contact as he like without interrupting him. Does that make sense? He says, this is hard for you to get out.
Some details more than others. The final item I've come to speak with you about is a bit of a mess, and well, I come bearing no token or sigil or much of anything. But
if I haven't made it very clear by now, your word is enough for me.
I appreciate your trust in me, Koenig. Not merely the undead soldier. I am the unfortunate son of the late Imperator. As far as I know, one of two of the only remaining of the Reifenstahl bloodline. My sister being the other. And it's before I continue, or before you continue with anything.
He suddenly like kind of breaks into laughter. He's like, I
understand the insanity of such a statement.
That's actually not what I'm laughing at. He says, I've long thought that you and I had certain things in common. Our choices and affections, among other things. He says, I did not realize that we were both so thoroughly disappointments to our fathers.
And that snaps him out of it completely. He starts laughing right along with him.
He kind of like smiles at that, and he says,
you see right through me, Koenig. Oh.
he just like he squeezes his hand again, and he says, stay the night. I want to hear everything.
Yes.
I can promise breakfast.
I'm more than happy to speak at length of whatever I still remember.
He kind of smiles and he squeezes Han's shoulder. He says, we'll get to all of it. And I'm gonna like fast forward through there. I think it's like there's an intimacy through it throughout that Logan is also like not rushing. Does that make sense? It's very clear to Hans that like Logan is very attracted. And like there are questions to be had of like authority and like, is Hans going to become the imperator and stuff like that? And those are questions he's like setting aside for now. Does that make sense? It's like right now he's more interested in Hans, the son of the imperator, and what that means as who he is as a person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And he's not rushing anything physical, but he is like delighted to make contact with Hans. Does that make sense? There's a certain almost like desire to share the warmth of his body with Hans, even if it's not like sexual. It's just like to be against him, to like be touching him. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think there's a mildly comical like lack of preparation on this front for Hans, because he had been playing out scenarios of questions of power and, well, what does this mean for the city and politics and all the kind of all of the in his mind nonsense he was raised on by his father. These questions of how the way of things and how to reconcile with whatever power struggle there may be. And when Logan just wants to like ask him questions about his life, he's like, just to think and kind of like push past the like scripted responses that he had kind of thought of before.
Yeah, I think every time he gets a little scripted, like the response from Logan is to kind of share some story of his own life, like, the difficulties in the academy. Like, I think he kind of openly talks about the first time that he like was intimate with another man, which was at the academy with somebody who had like bullied him for a year or two. And
yes.
then
Yes.
Yes.
But then also
like, dynamic right there.
But then also like the relationship to Trog, which he realizes was extremely one-sided, and Trog didn't reciprocate, and fell right in line with his general relationships with men, and like, like he has been attracted to Hans for some time, but also he's like, at this point, I don't really trust my taste in men.
Yeah, that's understandable. Trog was kind of an asshole as far as I remember.
And one of the big things he didn't want to do was take advantage of his position and his authority over Hans and make him feel compelled to anything. With the revelation that Hans might be the Reifenstall, it's kind of like, well, we don't know where that is. And he actually feels a little bit liberated to be like open about it. Does that make sense?
We got no idea what this means. And honestly, it doesn't even fucking matter. We got bigger things to worry about than
he's kind of like
who's actually got whatever authority.
I think at like the end of the night before they retire for bed, he's like, at the end of the day, if you have what is best for Eisen and best for Freework in mind, we can work out the rest. They're details, not what is important.
Yeah, if I'm honest, all of this was nonsense to me as a child, and honestly remains nonsense. The power and the way of things, and we're also stuck in these traditions. Perhaps it is time we make a larger change. I don't know. It's for another time.
So I am I'm gonna close out here with like the two of them kind of having that moment together. For everybody is who has sent me, things that they want to get accomplished this week. I'm going to give each of you like an appropriate role to do. Is we're going to kind of have some like flashing forward downtime. I know Rosa and Len have to like need a moment to kind of like do their post dragon stuff and whatnot. But what I'm thinking is that we will, because we're at like I think 45 minutes left at this point, and I want to get through some of the time if it's okay that Len and Rose are kind of like figuring out the best way to tell everybody else like what they went through. Um,
Let's
if you
just gonna
want to have
blurt
it that
out.
they're kind of immediately blurting it to everybody, like that's fine too.
Rose is absolutely pulling him back from that idea to figure out a better plan.
But I go and then I just say everything,
No.
and then no.
No.
Oh, but it's worked so well in the past.
No.
Um, we can also say like, there's an attempt to call a council meeting, but it's like, hey, Runa's injured and can't move. She's in the room with Jamae. If we want to have a private meeting, like now is not the time to do it.
She wants to move.
Not allowed. Not allowed.
But then Jamae will win bed rest.
Yep.
For like a portion of bed rest, Runa's just like laying back on the bed, staring at the ceiling.
And so I'm just going to go through kind of in the order that I got them. Gerard, you had that you're going to be spending some time looking into Honorene's kidnapping. So there's some things as the swordsman that he's very capable of doing, because the Swordsman Guild is present in Freeburg. He checked into it when he came, and also the swordsman who had kidnapped Honorine checked in and then promptly never took another contract. So he's able to sort of like look into that, to find out that swordsman has not been seen in quite a while now. He has disappeared without a trace, so to speak. There's and that's like not totally unusual, but usually when a swordsman gets a contract that's going to like take him to another city, he will outcheck from the city. Now, Freiburg is a city where people die all the time and nobody gets to report it. There's a nice handy sewer and tentacle monsters down there that'll like eat up bodies. So it's a good place to disappear somebody if you need to. So there's a bit of a dead end in what he can do beyond that. In that he can't really get back to Charus, he can't really get back to Pei. And the immediate lead of the swordsman is gone.
I've come to the realization that is a dead end. I think I followed it about as far as I can. Now I've got to find something else to obsess over.
And there is I think we're going to push it to the next session, but does Hans notify Gerard that there's somebody he wants to introduce him to in regards to the captain position?
I think he would do that pretty quick after his chat.
Okay. Then we're gonna push that to the next session, but I do want to know what Hans is relating to Gerard about the madam of the leaky jugs.
Yeah, I think his invitation would be something along the lines of, we have something along the lines of like, there's a particular business that is higher risk for unsavory or violent incidents, and so far it's been the current protocol to give them not necessarily special treatment, but to make sure that they're checked in with more frequently and ensure that there are guards close by to help deter any ne'er-do-wells.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we have a meeting with her tomorrow.
Yeah.
In a few days.
And is he disclosing that it is a Jenny's guild that she is in charge of?
I think he would leave that to her, because that's more her business. He doesn't want to necessarily create impressions before Gerard gets to meet her in person.
With the one thing I do want to also like have Jor be aware of before said meeting is that the Leaky Jugs is immediately adjacent to the ceramic works, the pottery works that was owned by Charlotte. It is like basically across the street from it.
Good to know.
So if anybody knows any like more about its inner workings, it's probably gonna be them. It'll just be something that like spatially I wanted to make aware of. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And Hans will also have the opportunity to, so we're moving, Hans will have the opportunity to arrange the meeting with the Nibelungen. There is a quorum of Nibelungen in the city, so they will be able to like make some decisions in regards to things. They called them after a number of Nibelungen were injured because they would need to train some new Nibelungen. This is all a mouthful. But also like that means that they're going to be able to like be spoken to by Hans as a like addressing them as the Reifenstall.
Mhm.
From there, I'm gonna cut over to Gav because during this time he's also going to be able to like see the Nibelungen and get fitted for the Dracheneisen pieces that they're going to begin working on. So by the next session, he'll actually be getting those. Um, uh, you also said that you wanted to have some time sparring with Gerard to learn a bit more about him and Charlotte.
Yeah.
Is there, and you also said you needed some time to think of anything more. Is there anything more pressing than that you wanted to spend the time doing? There's also all the politics stuff going on. So if there's somebody that he wants to convince, or if he wants to ask anybody on the council to help him convince to change their position on things, this is a good time to do it.
I haven't really thought about the politics side because, of course, I didn't. The idea with Gav getting assistance from Gerard is he knows that, you know, it's always good to have a second person who's skilled in combating a specific foe, especially like, you know, this is something he's learned from monster hunting. You share your knowledge. And Gav's own school is entirely about exploiting or noticing and recognizing weaknesses. So if he fights somebody that fights with Valro, and he was basically going to learn through experience, kind of like learning, you know, how to grab somebody who's, you know, using a dagger in the second hand and things like that. As far as politics, I think Gav is more kind of preparing for Margot's trial.
Okay.
Kind of like there's a bit of like gathering character witnesses, ensuring that the things that Margot has taught, like her puppet shows, like those things have been written down, and just kind of preparing her for just basically what to expect.
There are a few meetings with Hubert de Gloyer, who's going to be acting and speaking for her. She's going to speak for herself at some point, but he actually has the understanding of law to functionally work as a lawyer. It was his original training before he decided to poet. So I think giving those things to Gav giving them to him is going to help the case. Like, as well as the awareness that like she was not responsible for what happened in the Dragon Nest and the sort of like background behind it. And you know, there's a danger in putting Margot on the stand herself, but it sounds like that's the course that they're committed to. Does that make sense? Because she's not going to deny that she was trying to kill Logan Seeger, or well, at least the other Iron Princes that were assembled. They actually didn't launch an attack on Logan. He was the only one.
Yeah. So I mean that will kind of work in her favor. I mean also I think because we're all going into this knowing that she's going to be executed for what she's done, I think the idea is trying to publicize and martyr her to such a point that even though she's, going to hang, she'll like her sorry, my brain can't brain right now.
It's okay.
But yeah, he's trying to basically turn this from a witch trial into almost a living memorial, to try and kind of not really canonize her in the eyes of Freiburg, but let her understand that, or let the people understand that she had good intentions and that we can use those good intentions to better the city.
Yeah. Um, and Hubert is, he's taking notes on all of those things, and um, he says, "There's a part of me that deeply wishes the Relaskier had found you and made you an offer to join them before all of this happened. I think they would have found a fitting member in you."
If you had found me before all of this, I would have not had any of this to say. It has been a very interesting year.
He says that's fair indeed. Um, but so I'm going to be moving on. And the if there is something in the downtime that you go, oh, Gav is going to want to try to convince people of this or something like that, like between now and next session, feel free to DM me and I will incorporate like what roles he might need to like make that influence. And if he wants to ask anybody else to assist, they can make one as well. Does that make sense? And they'll have an advantage if it's somebody that they have a personal connection with, like Runa with Garrett Vick and Rosa with Tovar. So
Yeah, because they're two of the other. Um, I was gonna say council members, but that doesn't really work. But it also
so
works.
So in the system of how I'm tracking that is there's like basically certain metrics of like if this number of votes are received, then enough
Mhm.
funds are allocated to increase rating by X amount, which ups this level, et cetera, et cetera. Um, that is uh that is something that if he is like basically shifting votes from one to another, he might make it so that a certain rating improves and another doesn't.
Mm.
Um, right now things are on track that I think the most developed one is a tie between necessities and infrastructure. So it might just be about that like he's trying to keep that in place if that suits him.
Yeah,
So
like he is like, as much as he wants to be Hans's man in this the city council, he also wants to make sure that the poor, like the districts, the majority of the people of Freiburg, if we're being honest, are properly taken care of during this very harsh winter.
okay.
So yeah,
Um
keeping infrastructure and necessities right now.
okay. I think that comes down to like some like the focus being on a lot of like making sure that food is available to everyone. And that's actually including the despair people, which means that there needs to be like orderly lines coming to the city and bringing food out, and that it's all that it's a difficult process because there are a lot of people who are buying food, but there are also a lot of people who are being given food, and that is creating some tension. Like, why do I have to
Mm.
pay for it when they're getting it for free, etc. Um, so there's no elegant solution as yet.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Gab is learning about politics is there are very rarely elegant solutions. Everything is always something costs.
Yeah.
So
Um, yeah, I think anything else would be out of his current sphere of influence. Other than, actually, he doesn't really know about that yet, that Hans plans on. So yeah, no, he's working with Sherrod and Also kind of halfway teaching the few size to size men that are in Freeburg how to throw a punch.
Okay.
Because I mean, you're also skinny.
Very
The
skinny.
city will eat you alive.
All right. So I'm gonna step over to Len. So there's conversation that's had with Rosa about like we're gonna hold this off. And then you wrote that you're gonna be looking for the Phoenix and the Owl. I'm thinking I want to try to push that off as well. I actually have something of an idea I want to talk with everybody briefly with like after this game. Um, and I'll explain my thinking at the end. But going to talk to Kathrina about the return to Sura is also on the list and is probably one of the more immediately accomplishable things. Um, so my question is, where does Len actually fall on that? Like, does he think that Tamara is right and that she needs to be in Asura despite the risk and despite the fact that she doesn't have support? Or does he feel the obligation to carry the message and persuade her otherwise?
This is Kathrinia's decision. He's going to carry the message and he'll help her weigh the pros and cons, but he's not going to try to push her one way or the other because Len knows that he has a certain influence over her still or with her, and he is not going to be the one to make this decision for her.
She says, I'm not asking you to make the decision. I know it is mine to make and the responsibility will be mine, but
Oh,
were you in my shoes, what would you do?
well, I didn't know whether we were actually in it. I thought you were just
No,
asking me
I'm jumping us
hypothetically.
into it now.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm kind of
Okay, all
assuming
right.
that there
Well,
was like
yeah,
a longer conversation. I didn't want to go into all the details of it because I know he had a lot to explain, Tamara, the
got it.
background, but what it ultimately comes down to is the crux of like what he thinks she should do.
There is no reasonable way that we will be able to build you up enough influence, troops, support outside of Asura anytime in the foreseeable future to march you there with support at your back. There simply isn't with the Posen on the way, with Seeger on the way, with the other terrible dangers that are centered on this city. It's and the stresses on it. It's just not feasible to build up your own army and march in. And we both know, at least I hope you know, if we march in with a foreign army to Asura again, no matter how good your intentions are, heading towards the throne, Osurans will fight you just for bringing foreigners into the country.
She nods. She says, I so desperately want to help my brother in the South, and I so desperately want to help Montague get these men back to Montaigne. I've seen all of those things, but
But you are the only one who can make a difference in Asura right now.
and I just have to have faith that Matushka will provide me a way to do it.
Mother is generally fairly hands off in this sort of thing, but the false Gaius is entangled with the old wolf. And by the old wolf, I mean one of the pure spirit of wolf that Matushka first brought into being, one that has
I've
never seen eye to eye with her.
I've seen him take the form before when he snapped a peasant in half.
Yeah,
It is
well,
not like a normal wolf.
no. And he tried to kill my bear at one point in that form. The only support that you are promised right now is the most isolated of the nobility, but also one that is feared for her power and worried about for her other power. I'm sure you recall the tales about her. At the same time, those are things that can work strongly in your favor. If you cannot lie in her presence and
She
state
says,
clearly that you are the true Gaius.
she looks like a thought occurring to her. She says, if I cannot lie, then the false Gaius cannot lie either.
Which is another reason he does not allow her in his court or anywhere near him.
She says, I just have to get to him in front of his court with her and survive long enough to question him.
Well, if you can control it, you have one of the most powerful beast forms, creature forms that is probably the most powerful that is available to us. Even the old wolf is not a Draken. He will have support, but if you can stir things up there, you just might have enough to force that confrontation. Also, I need to talk it over with the council and with my wife some more, or my fiance, wife to be. In my heart, she's already my wife. I mean, that's just how it is, but she thinks I should go with you.
I think you're needed here.
I think I'm needed both places, but there's only one Len, for better or worse. Her sister would say for better, but either way, there's not much you can do here, but if you go, you'll be in the most danger that you could be.
She nods.
And when you make your decision, at least if it's within the day, I will be speaking to the Phoenix through my owl and can let her know to expect you. Or to not expect you, as the case may be. But I don't think if you don't go, I don't know that you'll ever have her support.
She steps forward and she gives Len an embrace. And she says, goodbyes have been the most painful part of my life. I never thought I would see my brother again after I was married to the Gaius. I never thought I would see you again after you departed. She says, I don't know if I will see you again now. So I will go, because if I stay a day, I will stay a week. If I stay a week, I will stay a month.
Do you have what you need? I'm never going to be nobility here. They fear my power, but I do have resources if you need them, and I know you didn't have much when you came here.
She says, I only need one thing from you. She says, I need your oath that you will make your wife the happiest woman in Freeburg.
That I happily swear to.
She reaches under her dress and she pulls out something that she kind of, like, she wraps her hand around it and she says, I would prefer to have gotten you something of sentiment. And she says, instead, I have to give you something that I am happy to be relieved of. The Gaius gave this to me on my wedding day. And I hope you find a better use for it. And she puts it into Len's hand and she opens it and she melts down into cat form and kind of bounces to the window as Len is looking down at a absolutely fucking priceless necklace with an enormous diamond in it that was like the kind of thing you would give the Imperatress of Usura, the Gaius of the guy is his wife. It is a wedding present. It's probably worth 50,000 guilder. Um, and she just kind of like she switches her tail once, um, and pushes out the window, and Len sees her like bounding onto a roof.
Well, she's gonna fucking love this. Surprise the shit out of her with this at the right point.
So I'm gonna cut from there too, Rosa. Rosa, what were you planning to do during this time? You said you were going to talk to Anne about getting into contact with Beatrice Caligari.
Yes.
So Rosa doesn't actually need to do that because the person who is most likely to be able to get her into contact is actually Wilma.
Okay, yeah, because player only knew. that
Oh, Anna
had
had
the
seen her, but
connection.
has no way to like contact her. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But Wilma does know. Like she's a powerful Fate Witch, and the daughters are really designed around the Fate Witches. So, um, so what is it that she is actually asking? Is she asking for Beatrice to like communicate with her, like write her letters, that because that can take weeks? Or is she asking Beatrice to come to Freeburg?
First, it would be like asking Wilma if she thinks like letters would work, because she wants to find out if there's a way to stop the Unraveled
She
and
says,
save Len.
Wilma says, "This is my question. Do you think that this is a thing that can be entrusted safely to a letter traveling through Vidachi?"
No, not through Fadachi.
She says, "Because that is where it will be destined."
So, asking her here or me going there?
I can see which would be easier to arrange.
I just wish to speak with her.
Perhaps check with the Sice women in Honorine's family to see if any of them have a potential place to portal to within Vidachi lands. If one of them is within Caligari lands, that would be the fastest and safest route.
Yeah, she'll go do that next and see if anybody can help her. But at the same time, because this is Rosa we're talking about, she is making sure not to inform any of the council.
But I assume that she is letting Honorine know and passing it through her.
It's going to be effectively like a, hey, do you have anyone who might be able to like do this?
I was just gonna say, you think something's gonna happen in my house and I not know about it?
She's gonna
You're adorable.
try.
Yeah, I think Honorine definitely hears like the first one that Rosa asks. Sice women are gossips by nature, and Rosa is a Vidachi. You know what I'm saying? So in an effort to be helpful, it's immediately like, oh, do you have a place? Do you have a place? Oh, I know somebody who can get to like Bernoulli lands. Is that close to, no, Bernoulli lands is not close to Caligari lands. Like, but I thought they're all on islands. But and it's just
Yeah,
like
Rosa,
by the end of the
just
day,
does
Honorine
not
has heard.
realize that like the information's gonna get passed around.
She asks one really quietly and watches the chain reaction. She's like, oh no.
Yeah.
In my house.
This is Rosa. Yeah, no, once Honorine finds out, it's just a, oh shit.
Yeah, and from the recovery room, Jemay is like, is that Rosa I hear?
Rosa, help me.
Stop squirming.
So I think Honorine's like, well, so what's going on? She's gonna like take her aside.
Yeah. Senora Caligari, is that how the name is?
Yes.
Rosa would know the name. Player does not. Senora Caligori, she's a incredibly strong Strega. I figured if I can get to her or get her here, she might be able to help us.
All right. So she pulls out a map, and how close can they get to Caligari?
Yeah, Jemay has kind of like she has a pretty like firm idea of like um first off the portal that goes into the city would go to Numa, which is very far away from the islands. That would be like a whole like
Right.
sailing trip. Um but the islands themselves are relatively close to each other. Um there's kind of like some back and forth of like, oh, I have one on like this city, that city. Um, and like one of the kind of like quietest and like mousiest of Sice to Sice women kind of she mumbles like, I have one to Villanova's island.
And that's close.
That's the closest island to the Caligari Island.
Well, then I guess we're going there.
Por favore, signore.
She says we, by the way, Honorine does.
Yeah,
and then she
Rosa
kind of
Rosa
looks at
catches
Rosa
it.
and waits to see if Rosa's going to like
And
try or
you watch as Rosa doesn't realize it, and then it hits, and it's immediately, shouldn't I do this myself?
and she just waits.
I speak Vadachi. I am Vadachi. I can go through and not. You're coming no matter what, aren't you? All right, we are going to Vadachi.
I also speak the language, and you happen to have mentioned recently that I'm also Vidachi.
And if you remember, you reminded me you're Montaigne.
I'm apparently close enough.
Put you in the right dress and no one would be able to tell.
And
Put her in the right dress and no one
The-
would look at her face.
Vidachi fashion.
the like very mousy like Montaigne is like very very dark, very drab. She says the only women who wear much color are courtesans.
You could have led with that. That might have convinced me, Rosa. Better.
Rosa would have. Player did not know.
Oh,
I think she was being humorous.
yeah. And I mean, obviously, Honorian's making plans to go with Rosa to do this.
And she says, if I can have a few days to send a message to the person that we'll be guest of when we arrive, I don't want to surprise them. Surprising Vidachi is bad.
Agreed.
See, it is.
And I will request if they can arrange transportation to Caligari lands. Do you want me to mention Beatrice Caligari specifically, or would you like me to keep that out of the letter?
Let's keep that out of the letter until we better know.
She says, I have been permitted to be the guest of the wife of Giovanni Villanova, and she kind of like there's definitely things that she's holding back that she's like is not sharing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Rosa wants it out.
I think Honorine's going to just sort of like kind of take her hands and be like, and be like, I'm not looking to uncover all your secrets, but is there anything we should be cautious of while we're there?
Give me a wits check, and you can use your reputation to bolster this as well. And you're using your noble skill as a matter of persuasion.
Okay. Can I probably can't use appearance with a relative, huh?
In this case, you can.
Okay. Let's see. Would you say noble?
Yes.
$34.
Um, she says, I have a relationship with Valentina Villanova and Juliet, who is Giovanni Villanova's mistress. Juliet asked me to be an escape mechanism for Valentina if it became necessary because his hard husband, a dangerous one, and she has feared for her life many times. Um, and you should know that I have spent my time in Vodacce pretending to be a courtesan in the company of Juliet, not as a Montaigne. Which is like, this is an admission of doing something that is like very much beneath your station, you know what I'm saying? And is part of the reason she doesn't want it out. But there's also very much the understanding from Rosa that, knowing or not, this woman might be a part of the same organization that Wilma is, as she's being used as an escape mechanism for the wife of a merchant prince.
Honoring's gonna go ahead and like squeeze her hands. We won't tip your hand, but it sounds like we should not be seen coming and going from the portal.
No, my location is quite safe to my understanding, and I will need to dress the part of what Juliet knows me to be.
So then, should we attain clothing that matches that?
It would draw less attention if we were all garbed as courtesans.
Then, should I wear my traditional clothing?
You're going to need more color than that.
I think her traditional clothing is Strega clothing.
It is.
It's a hard call. It's like, basically, being in disguise is probably going to help them get around unnoticed. But Rosa is a Strega, and another Strega will recognize that. And if she's wearing courtesan gear, that could be problematic.
That's why Rose is asking.
She says, I don't know. It's a risk either way. She says, if you go as a Strega, you will be recognized as a Strega. And if you don't,
I could be recognized as a Strega and treated as a Strega who is not in her station.
she nods.
And yeah, she's thinking something else, but she's not even gonna say it.
I know you're not going to like this.
What?
Well, it might be safer if I just go.
She says, if all you need to do is deliver an invitation, I can do that safely.
The issue is I don't know if it will be better if I go to speak with her, or if she comes here to speak with us.
I can dedicate a blooded item and bring it with me, so that I will have one at the Caligari Island, and either she can come directly here, or you can go directly to her, and I can do all of that without you being here.
What's this person's name again? I don't remember.
I hadn't named her, but let me.
Okay. Thank you, Jeanette. She's not Jane, she's Jeanette because she's Montaigne.
Yeah, we'll go with Jeanette Marie. Because, being a size to size, she needs at least 2 names.
She needs at least, I mean,
She has 2 last names. It's got to match.
no, it's not, it doesn't count.
She, and she says, just keep my secret, and I have no problem doing this.
Grazie.
She's gonna look at Rosa, and she's going to also add, if we do end up needing to go somewhere, and we need to be subtle about it, Gerard might not be a bad choice to accompany us in the future. You might consider it. He speaks Virachi. He's a loyal swordsman. He's a skilled swordsman. And going alone has never been the best plan.
No. I was worried, though, of the danger I was bringing you all into.
We willingly put ourselves in danger for you, Rosa. All of your friends do. I do. Len does.
He seems to regularly, and without informing me. But
The communication, speaking with each other, does seem like it could be better.
maybe for all of us.
Perhaps.
She kind of. I'll go start making arrangements.
Thank you
Grazie.
very much.
Um,
You should visit with my aunt. She's been dying to see you.
Phrasing.
No, I'm gonna go with it.
She's-
I'm gonna stick with it.
Okay.
I said what I
Runa's
said.
asleep on Chimay again.
I said what I said.
so, we are like 3 minutes out from our normal close time, and I still haven't gotten to do like much more of like a scene with Runa. Is it okay if we go like 10 minutes over? Is what
I'm good with that.
for.
Yep.
Okay. So Rosa, does go in and gets like as much hug as she can from Jamae, who has like a sleeping Runa, and has her kind of like sit and stay and like talk quietly. You know what I'm saying? Like there's discussions of like makeup. She's happy to just sort of like make some light conversation, make Rosa like remember that she's like adopted her effectively into the family. You know what I'm saying? And her mind on that hasn't changed. She's like, so wedding dress, do you have somebody picked out to make it for you? Do you need me to see about bringing a seamstress here, etc.? Like she's just going down the whole list of things you need for a wedding, and like this is a woman who has planned several and seen them to execution at like noble level. So her ability at it is probably surprising.
Yeah, Rosa will absolutely talk to her about some of the ideas she has had. When she gets to talking about the dress, she yet does not have anyone. And then at the same time she goes, but Gav is getting married before I am. And I believe his bride might also need a dress. Absolutely throwing Gav under the bus here.
Girls helping
Nice.
girls.
Applaud the dodge.
She kind of smiles. She says, well, we can't have either of those now, can we? But it's a little bit like later in the evening. Runa has gotten permission to like get up enough to like go to a table, sit down, you know what I'm saying, like feed herself as opposed to being spoon fed. Um, it's a little bit of like
They
they
were
understand.
spoon feeding her.
More like they put the bowl in her lap and you know what I'm saying? So it was just it's the opportunity to be upright to kind of shake loose some of the soreness. And there's a like one of the size to size women kind of there's a visitor here to see you. Can I let them in?
Ooh.
He says his name is Mac.
Yeah.
Um, and
Sure.
he he definitely cuts like a strange figure amongst all the size to size women. Like, for one thing, his gaze doesn't like rove. Does that make sense? Like, there are extremely attractive size to size women like bouncing around, and he just doesn't seem to like. It's not that he isn't aware of them; they just don't really like register for him. Does that make sense?
Right.
Um, and he pulls out a chair and he says, uh, "Heard you were healing."
Yeah. Worried about me?
Says, "I check in."
Okay. Guess I just haven't been out long enough for you to check in.
Um, he says, "I get news about how you're doing."
From who?
He says, "Well, I have the cheapest nails in the city." He says, "One of the girls who buys for your stage
Ah,
says buys from my shop." He says, "So I ask."
makes sense.
I mentioned that you used to be my apprentice, and he says, "We haven't had much of a chance to talk since you went on your undersea adventure."
Oh, right. He did know about that. I forgot. Right.
That's really poorly timed to bite. I'm sorry.
I thought I was on your shit list after that. Well, not quite. You just said you just didn't want to see me. So,
He says, "I'm worried about the forces that you're tangling with,"
how do you mean?
says the Fae.
Am I really tangling with them? I ended
He
up there accidentally. That wasn't my choice.
says Bryn Brisale has a way of getting into people and not letting go. It's hard
Am
to
I
leave the
acting on
place
their
without.
behalf?
I don't think so.
But are you worried about it?
He flips a coin in the air. He says, "There's an easy way to check."
How?
And she sees him like palm the coin. He's doing it in such a way that like nobody around can see. And he just like pushes it against her hand, and holds it there for a moment, and nothing happens. And he kind of like he shrugs and he kind of does the thing where like he walks the coin away like through his fingers, and it disappears up a sleeve. She doesn't really have like a good view of it or what it was he
Slick
was holding.
man with slick tricks?
But it was larger than the coin that she found in Hilgren's place. It was not the
Okay.
same thing. And if she had to guess by touch, she would guess that it was iron,
Iron burns Faye.
some kinds, one kind particularly.
Kind you're
Says,
worried about?
"No," he says, "I meant one kind of iron." Says,
Ah,
"Iron that's never been touched by flame."
interesting. Is that what you're getting from Jorah? Not to bring up old matters.
Say that again, your question. Is that what you're getting from George?
Joran. Like, is that what you were getting from Joran?
Oh. He was responsible for my shipments, yes. It says I've arranged others since.
I'm glad.
He says, you seem to be clear, though. Says, which is good. I wouldn't accept gifts from them.
Too late. Haha.
Did you just come because you were concerned I might be a fae?
I was actually concerned about you. Says, I heard you'd been I didn't get it near enough details, he says, out of my girl at the bear house. He says, so I decided the best thing to do was come. Just that you'd been detained here after rushing off in the middle of an emergency.
Detained is correct. But I'll admit, resting wasn't the worst thing in the world. Technically, I'm still supposed to be resting.
He gives a nod. Says, I'm not great at it either. Says, it's hard to keep still. I need to do things with my hands.
I need to be doing something. Anything. I didn't need. You know what? I could have gotten some wood to work with, and that would be resting.
He kind of smiles. He says, you're the type to take care of others. He says, over yourself, right?
Typically.
He smiles. He says,
I know that I'm. Oh, sorry.
I've also seen you at the forge, he says, and you've got a spark in you. Says, whatever you're touching, a stage, a sword, a nail.
I get passionate about the things I create.
He says, what I mean is you're the kind who needs to create.
I think that's accurate. It makes me happy.
He nods. He says, I saw you jump from smithing to carpentry. He says, nothing that you applied yourself to took you long to learn, especially if it was some sort of creative art.
I didn't think about it that way.
I
I didn't even notice, I don't think. I just wanted to learn more. Wanted to be able to do more.
Part of the reason I showed up that night in regards to you going to Bryn Baseo, he says, was because I knew who was responsible for it. Says, I knew the woman who done it to you. I am not going to talk more about that. He says, I know she...
I'm sorry.
I know she left the city for a time. He says, and I also know she's back in it now.
Yes.
He nods. And I wanted to warn you.
After Hans again?
He says, I just know she's entangled with the Fae.
She certainly is.
He says, and I know she did I know she was serving with Posen for a while.
That's news.
She did some magic of her own, summoned a creature from Bryn Raseo.
Mmm.
Says those things leave scars.
You don't. Could you tell me more about them?
He kind of tilts his head. He says, "Did you ever run in with something?"
Someone I know.
Give me
His
some
wounds
details.
confuse me.
Give me some details.
They aren't healing how they should. It seems like he's been affected by some kind of poison. But I forgot the more detail that you gave me about it when I did my medicine check.
Was it he's bleeding amber for one thing? Like not just blood. But that the wounds aren't closing and these but they're also like not they seep, but they don't seem to be like doing so fast enough that he's like dying of blood loss.
As she relays that.
Um he he's thoughtful for a moment and he produces the coin again, and this time he hands it to her between two fingers. Says, "File that down." Says, "Put the gratings into the wounds." If his blood is contaminated by them, it'll hurt like bloody hell. But he'll survive.
Do I get someone to hold him down?
Uh, he says, "I'd find a room to lock him up in."
I'm gonna need more detail. What's gonna happen?
He says, "If the kind of creature I think came after him and he survived, then he's not fully human anymore."
So I need to see to this immediately.
He says, "That cure that I'm handing to you is going to burn the poison out. But if he's been infected by the Fae, if he's blooded by them, becoming part of them, it's going to attack him too."
It's my turn with the doom. Ugh. Sorry, run that by me one more time.
He holds up the coin between two fingers. He says, "This is cold iron. It's poison to the Fae." He says, "It's also poison to anything that bears their blood."
Okay.
Says, "The wounds that it caused came from the Fae realm. They can be closed with this."
Ruth doesn't like this.
He says, "But if he himself has been corrupted by them, which I suspect he has because he's breathing, this will hurt him too."
Okay.
Yay!
Says, "And so long as that's in his wounds, he's going to be dangerous."
Mamma mia.
So find yourself a locked room with a strong door.
Do I know a place like that?
We
Probably.
have access to several jails.
Bear house.
The Draken's Tooth, probably under the bear house.
The Sexnasium.
That one
Weird
you have to
name
pay
for
by
your
the hour
apartment.
though. So,
Weird name for Lynn's apartment, but sure.
It's an appropriate name for Lynn's apartment.
Is that all?
says the reason those wounds are still there is so that thing can find him again and finish what it started. And a
I
red
do-
cap will finish what it started.
And I do this, and his wounds will heal.
His wounds will heal. He'll bear the scars of them forever.
Why would Runa give the name?
I don't think that's what Rose is pointing out, actually.
He called
Runa
it a
never
red cap,
said-
and you never gave him a name. You never you gave him what you could describe, but you didn't give him.
She actually
but it
didn't give
was-
much of a description at all.
I,
How do you know?
Exactly. I knew
I
exactly who you're talking about.
barely gave you a description.
He glances down and then away. And I heard stories about the battle. So that's about a creature that was striding through the waves of Montague's men and slaughtering them with abandon. So I went to the battle on a hunch. Says, I found the circle where she summoned him.
Okay. Shit just keeps. Okay.
If it comes to the city and it comes for Hans again, he'll need a weapon capable of killing it. Come talk to me when the time comes. I'm going to drop the curtain there. We went not 10 minutes over, but 17. So I'm very grateful for everybody and their patience. I've been trying to avoid the 3-hour sessions, but shit happens. Give me 2 nominations for role-playing tonight.
As a reminder, Honorine got one for her intro.
Yes.
Yep.
I think Hans deserves one for the scene with Logan.
Yes.
Agreed.
I think Ruth and Sarah should get one for their reaction to the scene with Logan.
We reacted the same way. We were both
It
like,
was so fucking funny.
At the same time, too.
yeah.
Yeah, also I didn't clip, but I remember seeing you both doing a
Yeah.
afterwards, so you know.
Can you still clip it?
Yeah, you can clip them like a day
You can
later.
clip them from the pod later, yeah.
Yeah. That I've done that before with some of the stuff. So we have Honorine with the dromedary from earlier, Hans getting the nomination for
Gerard.
Gerard.
Gerard for
Yeah.
his not only
For
the
the
code
second
open,
one.
but the just trying to put everything together and yeah.
Okay.
I love the puzzling.
And I appreciate also that you're working at a disadvantage because you don't have the like 50 odd episodes of backstory that you have to like, actually, that's not what happened.
And I have purposely not watched them, so I can be this confused.
Well, actually, in episode 23, you'll find that it marked 15-5.
I hate well actuallying stuff as a GM, but like I also understand there's like we're closing in on 60 episodes, so like there's stuff that gets lost over time. So I always am like torn between like I don't want to correct a player because they might be doing something deliberately, but also like they might have just legitimately forgot. So
With
Oh,
this crew, it's hard to tell what.
Not going
So
back.
true.
Yep.
Just
So-
would be confused.
all right, so let's go with Hans and Gerard, honoring got the breakout drama die.
Cute.
That was good.
And I'm gonna go ahead and read us out, and I want to chat with you guys a bit after some stuff, so it should be fairly quick.
Like we ever hang up right away anyway.
Well, I know some people got to
Yeah.
go to bed and stuff, so
Yeah, with the daylight savings time, my 7 a.m. meeting is now at 6 a.m.
ooh, I'm so sorry. I
Ew.
won't be long then. All right, let me do this quick. Thank you for everyone watching us on YouTube or live on Twitch. Audience participation always means the world to us. And if you're on YouTube, smash the like, hit the subscribe, and make a comment in the down below. Here at Dirty D20, we always sign out with the same call to action. Be nice. Be kind when you have the spoons, even when you're not. Be nice. Be nice to strangers, be nice to family, be nice to your loved ones, and be nice to yourself. Thank you for coming on this journey with us, and we will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, y'all.
Good night.